Okay, last but not least, we're going to talk about another type of motoric function, although I want to mention that I kind of forgot a picture in the agenda. I actually was able to import a couple of pictures of areas with dopamine in the brain. And if you look at that picture in the nigrostriatal pathway, it does show the dopamine in the nigrostriatal pathway. There are a couple of other dopamine pathways of importance as well. One is in the mesolimbic tract. We're going to talk about that in other units. The mesolimbic dopamine seems to be very important in emotion and addictive behaviors. There's also another pathway, the mesocortical pathway. That one's important in higher order cognitive function. Don't worry about the, tuberoinfundubular tract. Can barely pronounce it, so you certainly don't have to know that one. Anyway, last but not least, I wanted to talk about another disorder that seems to kind of tell us a few things about the brain, and actually not the brain, but more peripheral locations. It's called myasthenia gravis, and your book does have information on this, chapter 8 of your book. Make sure you read through it. You can add some details. You don't have to add a ton of details, but some details from what we're talking about here. Myasthenia gravis is a disorder that you can actually go to the website on myasthenia gravis that actually leads to a lot of drooping face muscles and a lot of other symptoms per se. And it seems that myasthenia gravis is related to something going wrong with an area of the body, not in the brain, but in the peripheral nervous system, at an area called the neuromuscular junction. The neuromuscular junction, let me explain what that is. The neuromuscular junction, when information goes up to your brain and then it's going out, if you want to move a muscle, before you move an arm or a leg or any part of your body, the neurons coming down from your brain, they actually make a connection. If it's actually to a muscle in your hand, the last structure that these things hit when information is coming out, there'll be neurons coming right to the point of neurons coming out to your muscle. So right on your hand and on your arm, the last neuron that comes out makes a connection to the neuromuscular junction. That's the last neuron right to the muscle. So when the last neuron hits the muscle, there's a little synapse there. And that area between the last neuron, the motor neuron, if you will, and the muscle is called the neuromuscular junction. And the way it normally works is that when you get the action potential coming down for this motor neuron, it causes a release, it seems, of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter that's at the neuromuscular junction. And if you remember, I think I said it in the first unit, the idea that, in Indiana Jones, when they shot the arrows with curare on them, that blocks acetylcholine, so people can't move at the neuromuscular junction. So the idea is acetylcholine is there, and it seems when people, and there's a picture in your handout of the neuromuscular junction, that the acetylcholine binds, and then by binding really, really well, the muscle can move, and that's how you get movement. When people have myasthenia gravis, something seems to go very, very wrong with the neuromuscular junction. We seem to lose that connection between the motor neuron and the muscle, and we see a big loss of acetylcholine receptors there. So one of the treatments they actually use in many situations are drugs that increase acetylcholine. I think the most common types of products are medicines that actually block acetylcholine from being broken down. Acetylcholine is normally broken down in the synapse by acetylcholine esterase, and so what they actually do is they give drugs that block acetylcholine esterase, so there's more acetylcholine there that will help with movement. It doesn't fix the disorder. It's not an exact type reductionistic perspective, because the disorder continues to cause problems and gets progressively worse over time, but it seems that acetylcholine at the neuromuscular junction is a big part of things. So what I would ask that you do here is basically type out a summary and outlines of this bit of information as we cover it. Read through chapter 8 and see if you can get some more details. You don't have to have a ton of details. Look at the information I have posted here and type out your stories. You'll basically have 2 weeks to do this one and the 2 others as well, and hopefully it'll make good sense to you. A lot of students report they have to listen to these recordings a couple of times because I kind of put a lot of detail in each one of them. So good luck. Thanks. Bye-bye.